Howdy, howdy, and welcome to what may or may not become some sort of art series here on my YouTube channel. So, if you've perused art Twitter before, or even on Tumblr, you may have seen these type of posts that are Let's Make an OC posts. On these type of challenges, each commenter gets one specific prompt and has to decide on that one aspect of the OC. It's then the artist's job to try and make all of those different aspects mesh together into one semi-cohesive character. It's often easier said than done because none of the comments are by the same person. So you have all of these different people all throwing wildly different aspects at you. So the results of these type of challenges can often be interesting. I'm not the greatest at explaining things, so I'll just walk through what my dear Tumblr followers gave me to work with for this character. The first commenter got to decide on the angel's wing type and wing size, so they decided on serif wings. Big and feathery, but they didn't lock in any specific color association. The second commenter decided on the hairstyle and hair color. They chose purple hair that was constantly blowing in the wind. So I was stuck with working with purple, which wouldn't have been my first choice because I don't super love working with purple, but we get what we get. The constantly blowing in the wind aspect was interesting. They didn't give me a hairstyle or a hair length, so I just chose, some long billowing hair. The third comment got to decide on the OC's gender, and they decided to go with a masculine presenting but ultimately genderless angel, which is cool because, what would be gender to an extra-dimensional creature? Nothing. There's no binary here for them. The fourth commenter chose violet cat eyes for our angel, which is nice, I suppose, because they gave me violet to work with, and I was already going to be working with purple. I never took color theory, but I understand violet to just kind of be a more specific purple. A more particular purple. The fifth comment picked the skin color, and they decided on a porcelain white with visible veins underneath. An interesting choice. I don't typically draw the veins on a character. Not exactly my favorite thing to depict. But it was an interesting choice. I automatically wanted to make the veins look like cracks on their porcelain skin, though in the end I'm not super sure I succeeded on that front. You can be the judge of that towards the end of the video when I actually remember to go back and add in the veins. The sixth comment got to decide the number of eyes, and they chose 11 eyes. That's a good number of eyes. A fair number of eyes. Just enough eyes, I think. Okay, now commenter number 7. Oh, commenter number 7. Why'd you do this to me? Commenter number 7 got to decide on the angel's clothing, arguably one of the biggest aspects of a character. And they gave me, and I quote, a juxtaposition of clothes, with their specific example being crazy colored robes. I considered taking their specific suggestion, with some wild patterned flowing formal robes, but I didn't want to cover up too much of their porcelain veined eye covered skin. I know I wanted the angel to be a real fashion disaster the moment I got this aspect. Because, what would an angel really know about human fashion anyway? Nothing. They just wear whatever felt comfortable or whatever looked good to them. I knew I needed to give them some sort of see-through or mesh type top, just so I could throw a giant eye on their chest. And I knew I wanted to give them socks and sandals, just because it's comfortable. It's comfortable to wear. But looks horrible. We've got to be honest with ourselves. I had trouble deciding between a tennis skirt or some beachy board shorts for them, but in the end I decided that board shorts would be more offensive to the eyes, especially if I gave them this wild, bright colored pattern, so I went with them. I didn't actually get a comment for comment number 8, because commenter number 1 already kind of gave me a number of wings to work with. In case you didn't go through an angel and demon phase like me, seraphs are typically depicted with 6 wings. 2 to cover the face, 2 to fly with, and 2 to cover the feet. A real cocoon of wings, really. And the 8th comment gave our angel a name. Arguably one of the hardest parts of making an OC. I'm glad I didn't have to come up with an angel name. So, our angel OC will henceforth be known as Azrael. It made me immediately think of Undertale, but you know what? We get what we get. Sketching always takes me the longest to do. Like, you can see me struggle with the posing for this piece. Like, I move the legs all around, I messed with their length, and in the end, I still wasn't particularly happy with where they ended up. I find character art, if it's just one character on a canvas, I find it kind of hard to fit them into the canvas without it being too zoomed out or just fighting with space, especially for characters that have giant seraph wings. Trying to get it all to fit onto one canvas can just be challenging for me, for whatever reason. I also had trouble deciding on the hairstyle as well. I think I just got fed up with this sketch after a while and decided to move on to the line work, thinking I would just figure it out when I started the lines. I also had trouble on the wings. I couldn't decide if I wanted the big wings in the back to be just as feathery as the smaller ones, or not. I felt like if I added feathers to the back wings, they were too distracting, but then I felt like having feathers on the little wings and not having them on the big wings made the piece just look unbalanced and weird. I just had a lot of trouble with this OC. And you know, it wasn't even really the commenter's fault. I was lucky, honestly, and got a lot of comments that worked well together. I got purple hair, purple eyes, a skin color that went well with purple. And yet I still had tons of trouble. I don't want to blame the clothing comment, but I think the clothing did throw me off the most. Like, getting all the aspects to work together was just actually challenging for me. But I guess that's why this is an art challenge. It's supposed to be challenging. Sometimes an OC design will just come to you. Other times it can be a real fight to get a design that just looks good. It all depends for me. This character, though, I do like them. I can really see them going out and about and among humans and just not really understanding the subtle nuances of mortals, like human fashion. I really want to draw them with my other OC from my last Let's Make an OC post. He's the demon character I pulled up a few times in the beginning of the video to reference during this challenge. I wanted the angel to be drawn in a similar style to the demon, but the demon is definitely a little more stylized than this angel. Well. Alright, let's dive into the details of this OC. And we'll start at the top. I was generally pretty happy with the colors of their hair and eyes and skin. They all worked well together. You know, just different shades of purple. They always do. And I think the dark blue of the wings does a good job to complement the purple, you know, working in some of them tertiary colors. I never took color theory. I was going to give them a braided hairstyle that would have crowned the back of their head and, like, maybe put an eye in the middle of it, and I thought about, like, putting a golden ribbon in it to, you know, kind of represent a halo type of thing. But when I added the wings on the top of their head, the area got too crowded. And besides, you know, at this angle, you can't see the back of the head, so I put so much detail onto it. So I ended up just giving them a simpler looped ponytail type deal instead. I toyed with the idea of adding in a long ribbon to blow in the wind with their hair, but I left it out in the end. I felt it was just a Unnecessary distraction. The mesh shirt wasn't too hard to make. If you just play around with a layer opacity, that's how I added the subtle shading and the lines on top of it. I added those super low opacity lines to try and add some sort of texture to it. That's one thing I do have to work on more as an artist, is just incorporating a sense of texture into clothing or fabric or, anything that actually has texture. Oh, and I forgot to mention the watch that they're wearing. I mainly added it to add just a little more red into their color scheme. I used the red in their ribbon and I wanted to use it, in at least one other place. I like to reuse the same colors for different bits of a character's outfit, just to try and give them a more cohesive color scheme. Cohesive color scheme kind of flies out the window with the Bermuda shorts on this angel, but hey, I'd wear those shorts. Alright, so I wrote the word socks on the socks because I had socks that had USA written on top of the toes, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. It might have been a mistake. Looking at it, it looks kind of weird, but, it's fine. I don't draw a lot of sandals either, but I busted out some basic looking sandals for this. Nothing fancy, just your run-of-the-mill sandal. Well, I almost made it to the end of the video without running out of things to say. I didn't quite make it though. So I guess I'll just rattle on about angels in general. I love making angel and demon OCs because there's just so much you can do with them, even design-wise. I'm such a fan of biblical angels. Wings, eyes, fire, incomprehensible features that aren't made to be understood by the human mind. It's fine. Renaissance angels are cool too. There's a place for beautiful-looking human winged beings and, stories and art, but they are arguably less visibly interesting than a wheel within a wheel within a wheel on fire and covered in ice. There are just so many different types of angels to try and depict. You got seraphs, you got thrones, and cherubs. Cherubs are fun. They got 4 different heads that somehow converge into one singular being. That's cool. And if you can't draw one type of animal head, just draw one of the others. And if wild heavenly things aren't your favorite thing to draw, you can always go back to the Renaissance style of angels. There are no real rules for angels or demons, and that's what I like. There aren't even really any rules for OCs in general. This OC turned out a lot more wild design-wise than I usually make. Any of my other OCs that I have nowadays are a lot more coherent. I think that we all went through a colorful and wild OC phase. I once had a warrior cat OC that was blue and had blue stripes and magic powers. It was a simpler time. And a lot of us, including me, went through a phase where we would shun our OCs like that. There was a short period where I thought my old OCs were cringy, but thank God I got over that. Original characters are supposed to be fun, and art is supposed to be fun. If I want to make a hot demon OC or a colorful, overpowered angel OC, I should be able to, and feel no shame about it. I didn't post this picture or this video for a long while, and I kind of put off making this video just because I didn't think the piece worked. I didn't think that the character really worked, and I was a little embarrassed by it. But no piece has to be perfect, and no OC needs to be perfect either. Or cohesive, for that matter. I had fun designing this character, and I think his disaster clothing is fun. So there's no real reason why I shouldn't share them, even if it is a little late. Now, final departing words. What would I change with this piece? I'd probably start off with a different pose. The arms and torso are fine, but I'd like to change up the positioning of the legs and their posture. I'd change the board shorts to maybe probably the dark blue tennis skirt that I was considering, and I'd change the color of the wings on the head to something lighter to better help them stand out against the back dark wings. I wouldn't change the socks and sandals though, not for anything. So yeah, this is Azrael the Fashion Disaster Angel. So yeah, see you later.